In this video, you're going to go through the logic of your app before building your code structure. So to start, a user is going to send a request to your server. The request is going to be in this format, your domain followed by a path name. Then the server is going to receive that request. By the way, the server is going to be listening to requests like this one. So once the server receives the request, we're going to need to get the URL path name from the request. So we're going to pass the request and get only the path name from there. So now we've got the path name. So let's have a look at one example. So this request, for example, is going to have a path name which is going to be /. Now if I try another URL, then the path name this time is going to be /media. Okay, let's go back. The next step is to get the equivalent path in the static folder located on your server. So as we said earlier, you're going to choose a static folder that you're going to be serving to your users. So any files inside that static folder is going to be served to your users. So in our example here, the static folder is the home folder, which corresponds to a specific folder in our server. And we are serving every single folder and file located in that folder. Okay, so now that we've got the equivalence path in our server, which is going to be something like this, going from the root directory of your server, okay, then the path name at the end, but before the path name, the name of the static folder that you chose at the beginning. So now we're going to need to look for the full path in the server. Okay, so what does it mean? So it means that we're going to check if this full path that you've got there corresponds to something that really exists on the server. So we're going to have a few scenarios here. So the first scenario is when you get no results, or you still get a result, but your path is not a folder and is not a file. Now there are other types out there which we are not interested in, but we want only folders and files. Okay, so in this case, you're going to send a 404 error page saying file not found to the user. Now there are two other scenarios. The first one is when you found a folder corresponding to that path. And in that case, you're going to send a page showing the content of the folder. And the other scenario is when you found a file, and in that case, you're going to serve the file to the user. All right, now let's start with the first scenario when you found a folder. So in this scenario, you need to go through a few steps to show the content of a folder. So first, you will need to set the title of the page to the folder name. So if you look at this example, for instance, you can see that the title of the page corresponds to the title of our folder. If you look at that one, you can see that it's called home, and that's because we are in the home directory. Now, if I click on projects, then I go to a page with a title projects. Okay, and then you get the folder path and create the breadcrumb. So using the folder path, you will create that breadcrumb which is located at the top of the page. The next step is to loop through the elements of your folder, specifically files and folders. For each element, you get some details. So you will need the name of the file, the size, and last modified. And you will need to get the size in a human readable format. You will also need the direct link to that folder or file so that you'll be able to click on it to get the direct URL to that folder or file. Okay. So once you get all those details, you'll be able to build a table row using HTML, which you will then insert in this table. And then you'll send the web page to the user after you build all this. All right, now let's move to the next scenario where you are serving a file. Now, first of all, you need to look for the file MIME type using its extension. So for example, if you've got a PDF file, the extension is going to be .pdf and the MIME type is going to be application/PDF. Now, to get the correct MIME type for a certain extension, there are plenty of ways to do that. Now, we will use an external JSON file to get that. And that's something we're going to come to shortly. So now you will check if the MIME type has been found. So if you didn't find it, then you're going to save the file as text/plain. So we're going to consider this as a text file, and we will just read the content of the file as text. Now, if you found the MIME type, we're going to distinguish a few scenarios where we have some specific types. So for example, if you've got a PDF file, you're going to serve the PDF file using the inline method. So this means that the user is not going to have to download the PDF file on their computer and then read it. They can actually read the file directly on the browser without having to download it. Now, if you've got an audio or video, you're going to write some JavaScript code to make sure that the file is streamed by chunks. Okay? So this will improve the user experience because they don't have to wait for the whole audio or video to be downloaded so that they can view it. So they'll be able to stream it by chunks, and also they'll be able to search through the audio or video. Now, for any other types, you will just serve the file in a normal way. One more feature we need to cover is ordering your table rows by name, size, or last modified. And you can do this by clicking on any of the table headers. So in this example, I'm going to use localhost because I've got some more meaningful data for last modified. In this server, it shows the same data for last modified because all these files were uploaded at the same time to this server. So when you load the page, you get something like this, and none of these is actually ordered. Okay? Well, by default, the name is going to be ordered in ascending order in this server, and that's what you get normally by default. So let's click on the name header and see what we get. So we still get the same order because they were already ordered ascending. Okay, but in our code we will not recognize that they are ordered by name in ascending order at the beginning. But now, once you click there, then in the JavaScript code, we know that these are actually ordered at the moment. If I click again, then you can see that the icon has been updated, and now we are ordering the rows by name in descending order. Now, if you click on the size, the same thing happens. So we've got ascending order here, and then descending order. And the same thing happens for last modified. So that's another really nice feature to have in our projects. So the logic is pretty easy. When you click on the name header, for example, you check first if the names are already sorted. Now, even though we say that the names are sorted by default on this server, and that's what you get normally by default, we will still consider at the beginning that they are not sorted. So when you click for the first time on the name header, we will answer this question no. And then we will sort the rows by name in ascending order. Now, if they are sorted already, then we will check in which order they are sorted. So if they are sorted in ascending, we will sort the rows by name in descending order. And also we'll update the icon. Otherwise, we will sort them by name in ascending order. And the same logic applies to the size and the date. Okay, so now that you understood the logic of your app, you are now ready to build your code structure, and this is what you're going to be doing in the next video. And I hope that you are really excited to build this fantastic project.